I'm Michael Gross, host of the B&O Railroad Museum Television Network. During World War II, railroads quickly experienced a shortage of available coaches and sleeping cars as they moved an average of 1 million soldiers and sailors per month. In order to accommodate this unprecedented demand, the federal government ordered durable troop sleepers from the Pullman Company. After the war, troop sleepers were sold to railroads and converted into such things as baggage cars, cabooses, and refrigerator cars. This number 7437 troop sleeper car was abandoned in New York until the Western Maryland Railway purchased it in 1947 for maintenance of way service. It eventually operated as part of the Chessie system and was retired in 1988.
World War II put a tremendous strain on American railroads. In order to successfully wage war against the Axis powers, the United States needed to move its troops, military supplies, and other resources quickly. The railroads assumed the burden of mobilization in addition to its regular passenger and freight traffic. Regular passenger trains quickly became overcrowded as men leaving for war packed into coaches and sleeping cars with civilians. Initially, American railroads utilized spare heavyweight Pullman tourist sleeper cars to haul military personnel. But the traffic demands necessitated even more rolling stock. The United States Defense Plant Corporation ordered 2,400 standard troop sleepers between 1943 and 1946 from the Pullman Company. Owned by the government, but operated and maintained by Pullman, these cars were designed and built as rapidly and economically as possible. Each assigned a Military Authorization Identification Number, MAIN. Troop trains moved 1 million troops per month. Most moved through the nation from military bases to points of embarkment under relative secrecy, and at times the troops did not know of their location.
At the beginning of World War II, the railroads had a big job ahead of them, not just moving freight and equipment across the country, but they had to move all the soldiers as well, both the East Coast and West Coast for both fronts that we were fighting during World War II. Early in the war, the government noticed this was going to be a problem, so they ordered a bunch of these Pullman troop sleeper cars from the Pullman Car Company. There's about 2,400 made altogether, made to sleep 30 men. You had 30 bunks in here. Actually, 29 were for the soldiers, 1 was for the Pullman porter that was on board. The Pullman porter was on all Pullman cars to help out, get things, supplies, whatever needed, and so they had even ones on the Pullman troop sleepers. Sometimes you might have more than 30 men in here on the train, just how many people they were moving at that time. Here we have a closer look of the bunks and the way they were set up for the journeys across country. Because of course the soldiers are taking all their equipment with them at the same time. So available to them are hangers for hanging their dress uniforms so they don't get messed up. There's some shelves up top to store equipment on. There's also gun racks to hold their guns for the trip. This is also, you can see the bunks. This is the middle bunk here. If you take these poles out, these would actually swing down to make the sofa bed, so you can sit on it during the rest of the trip. In this area back here is where you would have the restrooms and storage, bathroom in the corner, drink fountains right here, linen storage for all the change of beds and things like that on the trip. On November 7th and 8th, we have our Veterans Day weekend where we have a lot of World War II displays. We'll have World War displays of equipment, home front material. We'll have World War II items related to the B&O from our collection on display. On that Veterans Day weekend, the volunteers who come down, the guys who set up all the displays and bring the Jeeps and everything, we actually spend the night here in the troop sleeper, which is, it's a neat experience for the World War II reenactors and living historians that actually sleep on a 1940s Pullman troop sleeper car. It's not too bad. Some of the springs are getting a little worn, so you don't want the heavy guys on top. You want the light guys on top. And you're not moving, so you don't have that too much of a bad experience. It just depends on how much the guys are snoring as to how well you're going to sleep at night.
On November 17, 1858, which B&O Railroad president was elected to replace Chauncey Brooks?
Until we can move a ton of goods using no fuel, we've got the next best thing. CSX trains can move a ton of goods 436 miles on 1 gallon of fuel. CSX, how tomorrow moves.
On November 17, 1858, John Work Garrett was elected president of the B&O Railroad to replace Chauncey Brooks. Declared surplus after the war, troop sleepers were sold by the railroads to used equipment dealers who recognized the potential of their adaptive reuse. With varying modifications, the veteran troop sleepers became express baggage, caboose, refrigerator, work train, storage, and power cars. The number 7437 was purchased and rebuilt by the Western Maryland Railway, the WM, at its Union Bridge shops in 1947 and given the number S3003. The car went through minor modifications and had a few windows sealed, bunks removed, and lockers added. The car spent its entire Western Maryland service life in wreck train service out of Elkins, West Virginia. The chassis system later renumbered it number 940950 in the 1980s. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum acquired the retired car in 1988 and originally displayed it as a maintenance of way car. Since then, the number 7437 has undergone 2 restorations to return it to its original troop sleeper paint scheme. A portion of the interior has been arranged to show how the car looked when used in World War II.
The B&O Railroad Museum salutes the military and veterans the weekend around Veterans Day. Mark your calendars to attend this annual event. This is Michael Gross, your host of the B&O Railroad Museum Television Network.
Well, you know, the B&O Railroad Museum was one of our very first affiliates. Storage and get them out of Washington and into local museums and communities nationwide so that Americans can take advantage of them. And so the affiliation with the B&O, it predates the affiliation. Our relationship predates the affiliation. You know, there was talks between the railroad curators at the Smithsonian and B&O well before they became an affiliate, but the affiliation allowed us to really expand the relationship so that now it's not just about loans, it's also about programming, it's also about sharing expertise, sharing business opportunities, of which the B&O takes full advantage. You know,
Now this little locomotive here is kind of special. It's unique in its type, very rare. It was called a fireless locomotive, meaning it had no firebox. There's no combustion, there's no coal burning inside or oil, and consequently no smoke. It would puff around the yards next to a big power plant, shuttling coal cars that would supply the fuel to the power plant. But this thing would run on a charge, basically run on a charge of superheated water, filling up this little boiler. Well, it's not really a boiler, it's just a thermos bottle. And the superheated water, every time the engineer would open the throttle a little bit, a bunch of steam would vaporize and propel the little engine around. They could go for 4 or 5 hours on a single charge.
Coming up, events at the B&O Railroad Museum and Ellicott City Station. Proudly sponsored by Amtrak. Holiday Festival of Trains in Baltimore, sponsored by Constellation Energy and CSX Transportation from November the 27th through January the 10th. Weekend train rides with Santa and Frosty the Snowman. Don't miss Baltimore's largest holiday display of toy and model trains. Holiday Festival of Trains at Ellicott City Station from November the 27th through January the 31st. Visit Ellicott City Station and see more toy and model trains featuring Thomas the Tank Engine in miniature. All aboard for Day Out with Thomas at the B&O Railroad Museum in Baltimore, April 23rd through 25th and April 30th through May 2nd. Tickets on sale to B&O members January the 2nd. Stop by the museum store and purchase a membership today.